So, with this third prompt, we are going to be discussing um, what is your role in your family and how it is related to gender. So, when I think about my role in my family, I think in a more general terms, I am a child and I am a sibling. Though, if we were to grow more specific, then those aspects of who I am become more gendered. I am a daughter and I am also a sister. And bridging those things together, I am the youngest daughter and the youngest sister, the youngest child overall. I like to claim that I am the favorite of all my siblings, and I will stand by that no matter what. Um, So, as previously discussed, my family dynamic is not the family dynamic that you would expect to see in like a Hallmark movie or children's cartoons or just basically media, the way that media describes how a family should be. So, my father, he does IT work, so he makes sure that the technology in the house works, that the Wi-Fi works, connecting our smart TVs and things like that. And he's actually the one that does most of the cooking in the house. My mom can cook, it's just that my dad does most of the cooking. He loves to cook, so we let him do that. That's one of his strengths. Um, Whereas my mom, she's the planner, the organizer, but she also is the one that is the renovator. She works on the house. She puts together like furniture. Just a few months ago, she and I did a little bit of carpentry and basically furnished a pallet from a door that they had ordered and put it under our couch in the living room. So that way they can sit up on the couch and it's not too low and bothering their knees. Because my parents, they are still relatively young, but they are getting older. And my mom has arthritis in her knee and in her foot. So with the couches, the way that they usually are, they're too low and it bothers her legs. So it just makes it more comfortable for her and my father to sit um, as they start to get older. But those are some of the things that we do around the house. And that's just not the usual way that families are portrayed. It's usually like the father and the son, they're the ones that like to use the power tools and the hammers and to work on the house. But it's really me and my mom. My older sister wasn't that into it. My mom tried to get her into doing those kinds of things, but she wasn't that interested. So it was really just me and my mom, and I became her little helper. So that became one of the strengths of mine, is being able to do those kinds of projects. So now, every now and then, when I get bored, I start renovating things in the house. I actually noticed that there was water damage above where the walls of my shower stop and the drywall starts up to the ceiling. There's water damage. They didn't waterproof that area when they built the house. So I had to go in there, scrape out the drywall, clean up any mold that was in there from wet drywall, and put spackle up there to replace where there was deficits in the drywall and there's holes. And then I painted my whole bathroom. a different color because I got tired of looking at white walls. And I replaced my shower head and I put a filter on my shower head. And I replaced my shower rod from one of those regular tension rods to a curved shower rod that is screwed into the wall. And I like that one a lot better. Another project that I've done is I restored our banisters, um, sanded them, removed all the paint from them, restained them, finished them, and I'm not quite finished with that. We have one long banister, two at the top, and then one that runs parallel to the banister that you hold when you go up and down the stairs. So I still have to finish that. But those are just a few of the projects that I've engaged in around the house that have required me to use tools or to use my creativity and change something about my house. Not usual, like the stereotypical, you know, gender role. Um, but something that I do think is typical or has become forced onto the female role is the helper. Um, I help my dad with yard work sometimes, but I don't mow the grass. I have allergies that prevent me from being anywhere with newly cut grass, but I do help him a lot around the yard and everything. My dad and I were the ones with the green thumbs in the house, so we keep plants like cacti and things like that. My mom doesn't. She doesn't have a green thumb. She will kill a plant. Um, but that's where I feel like my gender role um and my role within my family is very well, it's varied, and it's not what you would think like stereotypically of a daughter. Um, so yeah, but something that I think is stereotypical of a daughter that is not it's not forced on me, but I feel like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of. People expected me to be this way, and because they said it and encouraged me to do this stuff all the time, this became my role in the family instead of me just enjoying it and, using it as a hobby. It was something that I was expected to do. So I was the creative one in the family. So there's a stereotype of females being the artistic, creative ones, while males are the scientific, academic ones, the ones that use brute force and things like that. So when there was art projects that needed to be done around the house, I was the one that they consulted or they asked to do them. When attention to detail was needed, I was the one that they asked to do it. My dad has a 2003 Toyota Camry that he went half seas on with my brother. It's my brother's car, and my brother goes to FIU down in Florida. So my dad was holding on to the car, trying to make sure that he gets all the things that need to be fixed on it fixed so that way the car can make that trip all the way down to Florida and it would be good. Well, my dad wanted to get a wood grain kit for the car because he wanted to not only make sure that it runs, but make sure it looks nice on the interior. So he asked me and my mom, but was really mostly asking me to do the wood grain because, and I quote, he said, well, I don't directly quote, but he said that when it comes to attention to detail, I'm better at it. He doesn't quite have that attention to detail. I'm not sure if that is something that he thinks about me because of who I am, or if it's something he's attributed to me because of my gender. Either way, that ended up being a project that got forced on me instead of something that I wanted to do. Um, we have not done the wood grain kit as of yet. I don't know if he still wants to do the wood grain kit, but it hasn't happened, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen because it's not something I want to do. Um, Another thing is taking photos for events and family gatherings. Um, Now, that's something that I really like to do. I'm a novice when it comes to taking pictures, but I have a pretty good camera. And I love to learn about using my camera all the time. And if I get the opportunity to take photos, I'll do that. I've done photos for graduations, for birthday parties, for what was a gender reveal, and they turned out really well, but they were usually just for family and everything, and I don't charge money for it. Usually people end up giving me gifts and stuff like that as compensation because they didn't have to pay someone to do photography. But that's really just something that they do of their own volition, but it is something that I appreciate. Just recently, my student organization, we were doing a pageant, and a part of promoting the pageant and our participants, we did a photo shoot. And I did the photo shoot myself so we wouldn't have to pay for a photographer, and it turned out really well. So those are some of the things that end up being attributed to me. And I feel like my gender does have a role to play in that, but it also doesn't help that I'm good at all these things. So whether or not it has something to do with my gender, it also is attributed to me because I'm good at them. Now, there is a question that needs to be asked. Am I good at them because I want to be? Or am I good at them because this is something that I was made to do? So I became good at it over time. I like to believe that it's really just something that I like to do, so I did it. But then again, I was probably so young when I started liking these things and getting an affinity for them that I can't quite remember if I came into these things of my own volition or if there were outside influences involved. So there's that. Also, I feel like I have a good position to, you know, think about my role in my family and the way that it is situated with my gender because I have a brother that is close in age to me. And the ways that my parents treat us differs. And it's quite easy to attribute that difference in the way that they treat us to our genders. Um, and not necessarily to our age because he's only 2 years older than me, but at the same time, I'm the more mature one. Um, so, for example, my dad granted my brother a lot more freedom, like going out at night and hanging out with friends, and that continued even when I turned 17 or 18. Um, and he got to do a lot more things than I got to do. And I pointed these things out to him, like the differences in the way that he treated us. And, there was usually a bit of pushback, but the older that I got, he started to recognize, like, yeah, there's a difference in the way that he treats us. And he's tried to make up for that difference, especially now that I am older and I'm an adult. He tries not to treat us like children anymore. He's been making that effort ever since I turned 18 and was legally an adult. trusting us with a little more leeway, but there was always that difference of the way that he treated my brother versus the way he treated me. So, like, now that I'm older and in college, I don't need permission from my parents to go somewhere or go do something. That's why I live on campus at a school 2+ hours away from my family. Um, it's so that way I can be that independent adult without my role in the family as the child, as the daughter, inhibiting my ability to do things. Um, I when I reflect on why my dad and even to some degree my mom, though to a lesser degree, treated me different than my brother, um, and basically coddled me, um, it is really is gendered, but it's not that they're trying to be discriminatory. I think it's that they feel because I am a girl that they need to protect me more, that they have to take on a more protective stance when it comes to having a daughter versus having a son. And in fact, the world is a lot more dangerous for female bodied individuals than for male bodied individuals. There's a lot of gendered violence to consider when you are female presenting. And also when you're black or young or, of some other minority or marginalized group, you have to consider the fact that there are dangers out there um, that you have to be cautious of, and parents have to be cautious of. They have to think ahead because it's their job to protect. So that's probably one of the reasons why my dad treated me so differently from my brother, is because being a girl, the world is a bit more dangerous for me. Um, but also, the world is almost just as dangerous for my brother. He is black, Hispanic, young. He's tall, about 6'3". Um, and he is at increased risk as well because of his double minority identity, and also because he is physically fit, he's tall, so he could be seen as intimidating, even though he's like one of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet. He's my big brother. We've gotten into arguments and everything like that, but I can never deny the fact that he is very sweet, he is very loving, he is a family guy, and I love him very much. But people on the outside, they don't see that. So you have to know somebody, and the people out there in the world, they don't know him like we know him. So he is at risk, though maybe not as much risk because of his gender. Um, and the fact that some parents feel the need to coddle and protect their daughters as opposed to their sons is an understandable and even a laudable ideal and everything, but it's also suffocating. I had to learn to deal with it, but I was never okay with it. It was just one of those grudging things that I had to recognize as a part of my life and the way that I'm going to live as long as I live with my parents. And it was very conflicting because they raised me to be an independent young black woman, but then my dad coddled me. It was very uncomfortable because I had to learn to deal with the fact that I can't necessarily be independent when it comes to my family, but when I step out the door, I can be independent. I don't blame my dad for what he did because I know why he did it. However, I never missed an opportunity to vocalize the differences in the way he treated me and my brother. Um, I feel like if I bring it to his attention, then maybe he could loosen, you know, or lighten up a little bit. I understand that he wants to be protective, but parents can't protect their kids all the time. And there has to be a little danger in order for you to grow. You can't grow inside of a vacuum. Success doesn't happen in a bubble. So I have to be able to take risks. And he's gotten a lot better. And he is one of my greatest supporters, one of my greatest cheerleaders, along with my mother. So it's really great. Um, for the most part, I don't think my gender has had a negative impact upon my role in my family. I I just think that my role in my family is a little different from, the stereotype. And I'm entirely okay with that. I don't feel in conflict at all. It's what I'm happy with, it's what I'm used to, it's what I was raised with. So it's okay. So yeah, that wasn't the most articulate way for me to describe my role in my family. I have given this a lot of thought. It's just though being able to put these thoughts to words, especially since I'm suffering from a massive headache right now. Um, but yeah, that's my role within my family. And quite obviously it is gendered, with just about anything in society is. Family and family roles are gendered. So yeah, and for all of the viewers to what will be my video, I encourage others to consider what their roles are within their family and the way your gender impacts your role. So feel free to comment below, and as always, please be kind and respectful to others who wish to speak their minds. Thanks for watching, y'all.